Hey everybody, Tim and Julie here for Batman the Animated Series, Season 2, Part 5, the end of Season 2. A lot goes down. I mean, this is kind of the last 5 episodes, 16 through 20, because I don't know how to count. So we tacked on an extra episode. So, I don't know, we'll start from the top, work our way down, like always. Episode 16, Harley's Holiday. The first episode we've ever seen with Harley Quinn without the Joker, kind of proving that Harley Quinn can stand on her own. Like, she doesn't need the Joker.
Right.
So what did you think of this one?
It was cute. I liked it. I like Harley. It was a good show.
I mean, I do too. Obviously, I named
Mm-hmm.
my cat after her.
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of like little shout outs in this one. Notably, the ending part where literally everything from this episode is Harley just having a bad day. And
Right.
Harley says, like, I've had a bad day.
Uh-huh.
Because she tried to buy a dress and the tag was still
Yeah, the
attached.
lady did. Yeah.
Which, I mean, that happens to everybody. And even Batman says, like, I mean, I've had a bad day once as well. That's all kind of a reference to the Killing Joke.
Right.
Where that's the whole point of the Killing Joke, is where the Joker says, we're all just one bad day from snapping. I mean, I did 15 years in retail. You've done a lot of years in retail. And we watched the Joker movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, literally, like, it just takes that one day
Okay.
to make you snap. And you're like, fuck everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're just done.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it happens.
Yes, it does quite often.
The other moment that kind of stood out to me was Harley kissing Batman at the very, very end of the episode. Although it's not technically part of, so this is what we call the Tim verse. Obviously, not named after me, as much as I'd love for it to be. It's named after Bruce Timm, who's like the animator who did Batman, Superman, the new Batman, Static Shock, Batman Beyond, Zeta Project, Justice League Unlimited. He did a lot of stuff, and it's all in the 90s, and so it's this one big universe where all of these TV shows take place in the same universe. That being said, it's not necessarily part of the Timverse, but we did watch the movie Batman and Harley Quinn, which had the same voices of Batman and Robin in that. And I mean, we're just be honest, that movie's rated R. And in that movie, you see Nightwing and Harley Quinn together. We'll leave it at that. And so to see Harley Quinn make out with Batman in this movie, I felt like, I was like, that's actually like a precursor. I was like, I could see it makes the Batman and Harley Quinn movie make more sense. For me, at least.
Yeah.
Um, okay, the next episode, Lock Up. So I am kind of in waves when it comes to the comics. Like, I'm really, really into them for a while, and then I fall out of them, and then I'm really, really into them, and then I fall out of them. Like, Harley Quinn is a good example. She debuted in this series, and then she was in the comics, and then she was in the live action. So for this, I have not seen him personally, but evidently Lockup, this is his first debut for Lyle Bolton to be introduced ever. This is it. This is his first appearance. And evidently he does show up in the comics later on. So again, it's one of those, like, the animated series redefine the comics. I never saw him in the comics, though. I just missed those comics. So for this one, it's an Arkham guard just takes his job too seriously. That's about
Right.
it. So what do you think of this one?
It was okay. It wasn't one of the best ones, but yeah,
Okay.
I can see him taking his job too, 2 months. But I go through that sometimes at work, and I just lay into them, and they know we need to leave Julie alone. So
You don't fuck with you.
I know.
I'll say it for you. It's okay.
Yeah.
The next episode, Make 'em Laugh. The first appearance of the Condiment King. And again, just like I said, with Lockup and Harley Quinn, this is the first appearance of Condiment King, who was supposed to be a joke character. whatever reason, he is in the comics. He has made other animated appearances. I can't. I don't even. How do you talk about the Condiment King?
Sprays mustard.
Yeah, it's mustard and ketchup. Yep.
Unless you get the hot sauce.
Yeah. Which he recently made appearance in the Harley Quinn animated series, which I don't even remember who said it, but like it was either Kite Man or the Condiment King. They're like arguing together, and he's like, "I'm gonna kick your ass back to the Hidden Valley," which is a ranch, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like I lost it. It was the best thing ever. So Condiment King, the first appearance of Pack Rat, who does not care about money. He just cares about everything else.
He was cute.
Literally, we are standing in my Pack Rat cave because I don't throw anything away. I just collect everything. But the whole episode is just about the Joker wanting to be a stand-up comedian, is what it kind of boils down to. Right. What'd you think of this one?
This one, it was cute. I liked it. I like Batman. Not as much as Batmite, but he's right up there.
Speaking of which, we'll just go right to the next one, Deep Freeze, which I brought this up in the last review way back when, last week. I don't know. That's what happens when you drink. Time means nothing. In the New Adventures of Batman, back in '79, I think it was, there was an episode called The Deep Freeze, and it was all about Mr. Freeze, go figure. And in this episode is called Deep Freeze. So it's minus the. And again, it's about Mr. Freeze. And the opening has little Batmite. It's a shout out. It's not Batmite like we think of Batmite, but it is
a Batmite.
It's a Batmite. And I mean, so this episode came out like 1994-ish, somewhere in there. I grew up with this. I have watched this series beginning to end probably a dozen times. I love this series. When I think of Batman, I think of this series. When I read a Batman comic book, I hear Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill voices in my head. This is what I think of. I am unfamiliar. I know who Batmite is, but not to an extreme. Actually, us watching that series for the first time for me is the biggest introduction for Batmite that I've had. And like I said, I've seen this episode at least 4 or 5 times. I never picked up that was Batmite until now. And then he instantly gets shut down. But he does have the line where he's like, "I just want to help," which is basically what he kept saying over and over again. This episode brings back Rosm, the character from the Hardak episodes. This is like his 3rd or 4th appearance. It brings back Mr. Freeze, once again voiced by the amazing Michael and Sarah, who I always think of from Star Trek because he played one of the Klingons. They bring, like I said, this is like 1994-ish. So this is before the Batman and Robin live action movie with Arnold. But in this episode, Mr. Freeze freezes Robin and is like, "Are you going to chase me or are you going to take care of Robin?" And then he runs away, which is exactly what we see in the Batman and Robin movie. He freezes Robin because that's when he like puts him in the water and stuff. So that was it's interesting to think about like when these episodes came out and when the movies came out and stuff like that. This has probably one of my favorite scenes of Batman where Mr. Freeze walks in and he's got the bright red eyes and he pulls up the gun and you're looking right at the camera and it's the spiral of the ice coming at you. It's a fantastic scene. Like, it's considering, like I said, this is 1994. Like, this is all hand drawn. This is not computer. This is literally somebody drawing this. It's amazing. It's breathtaking. One of the last appearances of Mr. Freeze. What'd you think of this one?
This one was good. I liked it. Was it this little one where he wanted to be left alone because his wife was in the... Yeah. And
that's the very last scene is him and Nora, and it's basically just silhouettes. You can't see the details of them. But yeah, it's really, really well done.
It was good.
They have said in interviews, like Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, that they purposely didn't use Mr. Freeze very much in this series, because before this, Mr. Freeze was just a villain.
Right.
Like, that's it. Like, he was a villain who liked to freeze things, and that was about it. And in this series, like his first debut, Heart of Ice, which was the two-parter, they redefined Mr. Freeze, and he's more of an anti-hero.
Right.
And for me, like, I mean, I've been married to Jordan for 10 years, and, I mean, we don't really know exactly how long Mr. Freeze was married to Nora in this, but literally, like, his wife was cryogenically frozen, and he needed funds to help her, to cure her. If Jordan fell ill or something and they were like, we need $1 million, I was like, there is not a bank secure enough. Like, I will fuck up everybody in this world to get the money to cure him. And that's how I view Mr. Freeze in this animated series. Is he's just like, my wife needs help.
Right.
And like God himself could not stop me from helping my spouse.
Right, I'll do what I can to.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, like, is he a villain? Yes, because he's breaking the law. But at the same time, like, he's not like the Joker or anybody, like, where he's just killing for fun. He's like, I'm literally doing what I can to help my spouse.
Right.
And I love that. I think that is amazing. And that's where, like, in the comics at this point, like, if you go and buy a Mr. Freeze comic book or something, like, that is the story where he's just trying to help Nora.
Right.
This series redefined Mr. Freeze the way we look at him now.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I think that is fantastic. Because at the same time, you're like, well, he is breaking the law, so we need to stop him. But at the same time, you're like, he's protecting his loved ones.
Right.
And that's all anybody wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's not out to, like, become rich and famous. He just wants to help Nora.
Yeah.
So I loved it. That was a huge soapbox. I apologize.
That's fine.
Anything else for this one?
No,
nope.
It was good.
The last episode. This is it. Episode 20. Batgirl Returns. I forgot her name. Gilbert. Melissa Gilbert. Laura Ingalls. Her last appearance as Batgirl. After this, Tara Strong takes over. Because this is not the end of the series, but it's the last appearance for Gilbert voicing the character. I don't know, like, I don't want to spoil too much. After this, Batgirl's in it a lot. Because, I mean, after this, the Batman and Robin movie came out, so they want to sell toys, so they'll have Batgirl in it more. But at the same time, like, I feel like we haven't seen Batgirl for a while, for a minute. So for this one, it's mostly Batgirl and Catwoman doing their thing. So for the last episode, what did you think?
It was good because there was a lot of characters in this one, and because they were kind of working together, but then they didn't work together towards the end.
Right.
Yeah. It was okay.
Okay. So like I said, so this is kind of the end of the series, not the end of the 90s. The Timverse does have quite a bit more. The way I look at it is there's seasons 1, 2, and then season 3, because the next part is the new adventures of Batman, the new Batman Adventures. The new Batman Adventures, but that didn't come out until 1997. So this is it for 1994, and then there's nothing until 1997. So for all that we've seen so far, for the first 2 seasons, what do you think?
They're good.
Okay.
I like them, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because, they were all new to me first time seeing them, and there was a lot of them that I liked. Some of them were okay, but I liked them.
Okay, good. And I mean, like I said, this is what I grew up with, like the old McDonald's toys, everything back in the early 90s. So, and like I said, we're not really done. We still have a whole bunch more to go. Any other closing thoughts for this group of 5 or for the whole series in general?
They were good. I liked them. And looking forward to season 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before we get to season 3, there are a couple. They actually did some theatrical movies, so we'll go ahead and do those before we do season 3. So for these 5 episodes, because I can't count, because #math is not a thing. What do you guys think about Harley being by herself? Which I absolutely love Harley. I think she's so great. The lockup character, which is probably the most forgettable out of this group.
Yeah.
The Condiment King and the Joker, the Mr. Freeze team up, and then of course the return of Batgirl. Go ahead, let me know what you guys think about this, and then Julie and I will see you guys next time for the movie of Batman: Mask of the Phantasm.